Hello, and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills, where today's segment of Resources Unplugged will uncover how other people's money is making a vital difference in the lives of incarcerated inmates and their families. I am your host, Lorette Farris, co-founder of iBoss Inc., where we discover and develop investable businesses. My guest today is Zia Rana, co-founder, president, and CEO of TextBehind, where they are connecting relationships today for a better tomorrow. Welcome to the show today, Zia.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being here. The quality and frequency of communicating with loved ones while incarcerated is significant to hold together the threads of family relationships, husbands with wives, parents with children. Helping them to traverse this divide is TextBehind. And again, Zia Rana with me today will help us better understand how one company that wanted to affect change in how inmates communicate has now been able to do so by raising outside capital for this vision. I think that is just fabulous, Zia, and I'm just looking forward to getting into understanding how this works.
Sure.
If we can just start by you helping us understand, who is Zia?
Well, I was born in Pakistan in '79, and over the years I kept traveling across the world doing these technology products. So in 2007, I was invited by the U.S. Trade and Commerce Department to come to U.S. And since then, I've been working with different technology products. And I'm a simple person living in Maryland, trying to do something better for society and for myself too.
I don't know if everyone's going to agree about simple once they hear and understand, what you guys have been able to do. So with that being said, talk to us about the company. What does TextBehind do? Who is TextBehind?
Well, we wanted to create a viable, practical, and affordable solution for the family and friends, and even pen pals, to communicate with incarcerated individuals nationwide through the existing technology and not have to invent the wheel all over again. Especially, it is good for the children. So what we have done is created a set of software products for the family and friends to keep in touch with their loved ones. And the best part is that it's a full cycle communication system, which means that when inmates write back, we deliver their messages back to the phones and computers of the family. So they don't have to deal with the envelopes, the printing, the post office, or any other costs. So it just makes it all very convenient.
So from my cell phone, I could just send a text, and it goes through your service and is delivered to my loved one?
Yes. As you know that inmates do not have any kind of technology available to them on the inside.
Okay.
So through our free-to-download mobile app, you create your letter, which is a text message and attached photographs or even greeting card or other services. When the data comes to us, we print them in a specialized format and deliver to the prison facility, who then give it to the inmate after their initial screening. And inmates are instructed in the same letter how to respond back. So they can take any piece of paper and they can write back the response, which comes back to our facility. And then we digitize their letters and send back to the family's original phone and computer electronically from there. So it takes a very small turnaround time for them to say something and hear back something.
That is a fabulous way to figure out how to utilize technology. Technology is used for so much today, but now knowing that service, and I would imagine there are plenty of loved ones that, for whatever reason, have challenges in getting information to their loved one, but everyone uses text today.
Correct.
So I would imagine that just being significant. How did this idea, how did this concept start again from that concept and then get to the place you guys are today? And I'd love for you to in answering this question, also help the audience understand where you are today by way of how many lives you've been able to touch. But how do you get that from the concept to the stage of actually making it happen and having subscribers?
Well, the original idea was suggested to me by a friend during a casual conversation, and I'm a very compassionate person to begin with, and I really think about the children who are not as privileged as my children or somebody else's children in a perfect world. So long-term incarceration creates a series of social, emotional, psychological issues.
Right.
So being a technologist, I think about solving problems on a daily basis. And that triggered some thoughts in my mind that how can I utilize my skills and exposures and the wealth of knowledge towards helping those children eventually.
Right.
So through a series of planning steps, I came up with the idea of developing this software product that is cost effective and fast and reliable. Just like every other startup company, we faced all those challenges that you do when where to start and where to go and who will write the check. So we were lucky enough to have the first initial round of family and friends and co-founders, our personal money, to kickstart the development of the product. And once we get to a certain stage, we realized even further how impactful and socially beneficial it can be. So we approached a venture group funded by the state of Maryland to look into the business plan and our compassion and look at the future social impact that this company will create. So we got some funding from that venture group that gave us the standing in the state of Maryland. So we proved the concept by getting a few hundred customers. And from there onwards, it's just all history. And so far, in the last about 4 to 5 months, we have connected over 24,000 loved ones.
Wow.
And that was a big achievement for us. And even we were interviewed by Forbes to highlight this to the wider audience.
I think that's fabulous. Now, are you guys only in Maryland right now, or are you in other states? And if not, what is your plan?
Initially, we did launch only in the state of Maryland to prove the concept. We wanted to see that this is very novel technology and how the public will receive and react to it. So once we received the initial encouragement, we went nationwide, because while we were in the state of Maryland, people from around the nation also kept sending messages that, when would you launch a service here, because we need it. So on December 5th, 2014, we went nationwide. And since then, we've been getting customers and users and testimonials ever since.
I'll tell you, the other interesting part of this to me is, in initially hearing this, you would think it was a nonprofit type of venture, but understanding it's for-profit. Was there ever discussions or thoughts as to whether you would be a nonprofit versus a for-profit enterprise, considering the audience that you were looking to work with?
Right, that's a very good question. Initially, we had all types of thoughts, because the DNA of this company is compassion and genuine care for the people who are in distress and they're suffering from lack of communication. So, but as we know that America has the capitalist economic system, where companies that are only nonprofit cannot have enough traction to expand and help, wider audience and on a expedited basis. And corporations that are only after money, we know that they're not favorable by the public at all. So as an industrial solutions designer, I took a middle approach that how can I build a for-profit company and of course pay them who paid me to get it started to help other people, but also make TextBehind behave like a human. And ever since we have done everything in our ability to make TextBehind behave like a human to the customers. And that is
Right.
why, as our customers can, if you ever speak to them, they will tell you that how good our customer service is. So, we're just trying our best to help as many people as we can.
I think that's fabulous because I really do think that you would have probably, as you've stated, you would not be able to reach a wide enough mass if it was nonprofit.
Correct.
Because of trying to, especially early on, trying to get to enough capital, trying to get the kind of bandwidth you need, things of that nature. But it's also interesting that you've been able to find capital for a cause of this nature.
Correct.
But because you were able to do some friends and family, that gave you your start. And I think it was significant to find a state-funded venture
Right.
concern that put some push behind it.
Right.
I'm looking forward to and I'll ask you the question on the other side of our break that's coming up, but I'm looking forward to finding out how you're going to continue to finance full capitalization, because understanding that you're still young, you're still mainly, the bulk of what you're doing right now is in one state, but I know from conversations that you're looking to really roll it out, and if I'm correct, not only nationally, but internationally.
Internationally, yes.
I think that's fabulous. And so before we get there, do you have a sense of how much is it going to take for you to be able to get to that place? What kind of capital is going to be necessary for something like
Right.
this?
Well, when you develop a business initially to just make it cash positive and then you grow, in every business evolution there are generally 3 stages: the venture, the growth, and then you expand the services. So we are in growth stage, and this is a very ambitious stage for us because we want to help everyone. But of course, that will take infrastructure-wide development. So initially, we have consumed just under $1 million to develop the company to this point. But when it comes to developing infrastructure, then I cannot tell you right now how much it will take. But as we are growing, we are also gaining enough traction, enough attention from the venture capitalists and investors to get to that level. And but the thing is, the secret is in our business plan. That is how we're able to satisfy the financial requirements of our investors and the compassionate requirements of our audience. So it's a combination between the two.
We are going to take a short station break, then return with Zia Rana of TextBehind to continue unplugging how their system connects families. We hope you will stay tuned.
Need help? We're here. Whether you're feeling sad, frustrated, or happy, we've got you covered. There's someone who understands life from your perspective. YourLifeYourVoice.org. They're here to help you figure it all out. All you have to do is call or click today. YourLifeYourVoice.org.
Welcome back. You are watching Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of Resources Unplugged. Our guest today is Zia Rana, co-founder, president, and CEO of TextBehind. Welcome back, Zia.
Thank you.
So we were talking before the break about how you're going to complete capitalizing the company in order to really scale it up to where you guys are trying to take it.
Correct.
And so before we really dig into that, I did still want to find out what are some of the benefits of the service to both parties, the inmate as well as the loved one on the outside.
Right, and this is also the crust of our service as well. That, see, it's a cycle of lack of communication, and then creates different issues here. So, when somebody is incarcerated, over the months, family communication begins to decline. And after a year or two, they hardly hear from anybody from the outside. And on the outside, family has to stay in contact with them because relationships, and above all, the children. Because when they go to school, the environment is all about the mommy and daddy. And when they go there, psychologically they think, where is my mommy or daddy? So it really hurts them psychologically and emotionally. It's very important for their character development, the psychological well-being, that they should have both parties. At least they should stay in communication with them. So first of all, TextBehind makes it convenient for the family and even the children to consistently and more affordably communicate with incarcerated individuals. And over the years, what will happen is that the inmate would now never lose the contact with their family. So when they come out, psychologically they'll be welcome. They'll be more a healthier stage than they will be otherwise. So it really is a long-term benefit to our family and friends,
So why the difference? There's never been a reason that they couldn't communicate. There are many times that it's just not happening.
Convenient.
And that's, I guess, what I wanted to find out. What makes this so much more convenient for them to actually do it?
Well, we did not create a service that will make the families create or buy anything new to continue communicating. They already have cell phones, computers, and they can also call into our service. So making our orders possible through our phone, through the entire team, was also a part of the service to make it convenient for everyone. For example, based on our research, our target demographic has over 64% of them have smartphones, right? And more than 20% of them have computers. So that covers majority of the demographic that uses this technology to communicate or create text messages or emails. And other moms and pops that do not have any kind of technology, for them we have a phone number. They can call in and we go extra mile to just transcribe their messages or process their orders and try to there's one service we have that works wonders for families and friends. When they try to communicate with individual on their own, they don't know always the inmate ID or where they're located and what is the proper address and what is the proper method of sending a letter to the facility. So we have a team that will not only find your loved one anywhere in the nation, but will also guide you and educate you how to send messages that will actually be delivered to the inmate. So we actually are a buffer between the legislation and also the families, and try to make sure that we can connect them as much as possible. So TextBehind is not just a piece of software, it's a service that is bringing people together.
For the moment, are you hearing anything from those that run and manage the facilities? Your service appears as though it doesn't impact what happens at the facility, but is there any communication that happens between TextBehind, the facilities, or does it all stay with the inmate and their loved one?
Well, we are impacting the facility process significantly. First of all, our letters are contraband-free. There is no physical contraband in it, which means that we are making the prison staff's job much easier and safer, because we care about them as well. We do occasionally communicate with the wardens, the lieutenants of the facilities, and we get mixed reviews. We are appreciated because they understand, but then it also depends on others who do not understand yet, and because we are new to the industry. So as we are growing and making a bigger, impact, and all parties are beginning to understand that this is the new way of communicating and making things easier. So we are getting better and better approval rating overall.
I think that's fabulous. I think, what doors have been open for you so far, if any, to begin working with the other states?
Well, interesting fact is that TextBehind does not really require the contractual relationship with the facility. We are basically taking the electronic data from the family, transform that into regular mail, and sending them through the regular USPS mail. So we are not doing anything proprietary on that level, which means that as a basic civil right, the facility has to accept the mailing.
Okay.
Right? So we did not feel any significant resistance otherwise, or hurdles that
Right.
facility would not accept our mailings.
Okay.
But again, it depends on who is opening the mail and who is doing that. So some mishaps do happen, but I can say over 99% of the cases, we deliver messages.
Okay,
successfully.
so again, in talking about growth, it's really just a matter of when you guys are ramped up to the point that you can start getting to the next state, then the
Correct.
next state. Okay, wonderful. So great segue now to go back to the capitalization of it.
Right.
As any young, small startup company, capital is always something that you have to find often and more of. Are there any mechanisms, for instance, the Jobs Act, which has lowered the bar on what companies are able to do in reaching out for capital? Is that or anything else a part of what you guys are able to utilize or walking into to help you to bring in the capital that is necessary to get to the next stage?
Right. That's a very good question. I would like to answer it slightly. I'll take back. Just like any other field, you really have to be good at what you're doing. So before you even reach any investor, even your own family member, you have to make sure that you put everything that you want to do on paper, and you think and rethink it.
I like
Plan
that.
it properly. And once you write everything down, when you read things to yourself, it clarifies a lot of the questions and it helps you see things with greater clarity. And you polish yourself over time.
Right.
And when you present yourself to someone, have the knowledge of what you're doing and what you want to achieve. You should have the vision, because investors especially, they look for the potential of your vision. They look at you, not something on the paper. So there comes a time when what's on the paper becomes irrelevant. It's you that who are the star of the show. So I would highly recommend that they should reach out to not only just the state, venture groups, but they should also look for the private investors. But whichever route they take, having the good business plan and having the knowledge of where you are and where you want to go, it's the pivotal. It's most important than anything else.
I got to tell you, of what you said, one of the biggest things I want to make sure we go back to touch on is you guys have done the friends and family round, and you just stated that even when you're trying to get to capital with friends and family, you got to have your stuff written out. You got to have a plan for them also.
Absolutely.
You present to them no different than you would an outside party.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't think about that. So I'm glad that you raised that as a point.
Right. Another psychological factor here is that when you are even writing your business plan, let's say you take 6 months to a year to complete the entire research process and development, and you think through everything.
Right.
But think about this for a moment. The investors will look at your plan in 10 minutes.
Yes.
So they're looking at everything as a movie. So you have to really plan it out to look like a good story.
Yeah.
That's what the convincing factor in the business plan.
Yeah.
So you have to have a proper storyboard that, again, where you are, where you want to go, there should be a point A and a point B, and along the way you have to provide the value. So investors look for the value in the process.
And everything that is in between has to be realistic.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they do. So they can look at your numbers. If your numbers don't tie into your marketing, which doesn't tie into, how you're actually going to ramp things up, that's seen very easily.
And that's part of the original self-education, that you need to understand where you are, which means that you have to understand your audience.
Yeah.
You need to understand the statistics, the usage behaviors, understand the problem itself, that what are you trying to fix?
Right.
And once you understand the problem, that also sheds some light on the solution, possible solution of it. And the better you articulate, the better your plan is.
Zia, we have about a minute left. Is there anything you would like to make sure that the audience understands about what you guys are bringing to the table for families in the product that you're working with?
Well, eventually we want to reduce recidivism, down to zero. We want to make our societies safer, better, and more enjoyable for our future children. Because my approach towards solving, large-scale issues is always pragmatic. I want to enable people so that they can help or enable others like them. So there's a chain reaction of that.
Yeah, I think that's fabulous.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm looking forward to having you on again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And thank you for spending this time with us. We look forward to your input. All comments are welcomed and can be posted in the context section at our website, ibossinc.com. In closing, I encourage you to check in for our next episode of Resources Unplugged as we strive to bring you content to help you grow a healthy and sustainable business. Thank you again for watching Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of Resources Unplugged.